So we just talked about good intentions and looking at your past to figure things out, to understand, how to better yourself, how to change the outcome in your life based on your past. And I want to talk to you now about believing. Believing is achieving, basically. I want to talk about that you can pretty much do anything that you put your mind to if you choose to, and not having, that I can, having a can-do attitude versus an I can attitude. So basically, let's just get into it. And it's much easier if I start explaining it. So when you want to do something in life, whether it's you're a swimmer, or an athlete, and you want to achieve certain goals. Well, there was an athlete a long time ago, I forget his name right now, but everybody believed that if you ran, I think a quarter mile or whatever distance at whatever speed, faster than a minute, that you would literally kill yourself, that your body couldn't handle it. And this guy, he just kept running and practicing and training, and he didn't believe that. He believed that he could do it. And he would run and run and run and run, and he was the first person to ever beat the minute mile or minute quarter mile or whatever it was. And right after he did that, tons of other people started doing the same exact thing. And the reason that people weren't doing it was because they didn't believe they could do it. People were scared. They're like, oh, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to die. People didn't think it was possible. So once you believe you can do something, you have a better chance of doing it than a person who believes they can't do it. Because when people believe or say they can't, the first thing that happens is their mind says, I can't do this. And their mind stops them. Your mind doesn't want you to do things that are unsafe. We have our brain basically is here to protect us. And it wants to keep us in the same place always because it feels safe in this position. But once you start stepping out of your comfort zone and you say, you know what, I can do this, even though your brain's like, no, you're like, oh yes, I can definitely do it. And you step out of your comfort zone and you start moving forward, you're going to start growing, you're going to start achieving the things that you want to achieve. We look at lobsters. Lobsters, they have to shed their shell. So they have a hard protective shell. And the only way they can grow is by shedding their shell. And for a lobster, that's very uncomfortable for them to not have their shell, because when they don't have their shell, they're not safe, they're unprotected, they're very weak. And so they'll shed their shell and they'll grow a new shell so they can grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, it's the same thing with us. We basically got to get out of our comfort zone and, get out of that hard protective shell and step out and take risk and grow and, try new things. So, I know that's a little off subject there, but basically, if you don't believe you can do something, you're not going to ever achieve it. So, one of the biggest principles that I've learned is if you believe, you can achieve. But just by believing alone won't get you where you want to go. In the Bible, Jesus says, that you got to believe in Him. But He also says, faith without actions is dead. So if you don't have action, then belief is useless. You can believe in whatever you want to believe in, but if you don't take action to make it happen, it's not going to happen. It's just going to sit there dormant. If you say, hey, I'm going to become a track star, a runner, and you sit on your couch every day and you go and run once a month at meets, well, your body's not going to be in shape. You're not doing what you need to do to achieve that goal. So when you believe you can do something, that's great, but you have to take the action to make it happen. And so this is where the step-by-step program comes in. So what you have to do when you have a big goal or a small goal or any goal, you want to basically take it by steps. You want to say, okay, what does it require for me to become an astronaut? I want to be an astronaut. I want to go into outer space. What do I need to do to achieve this? You may think to yourself, I can't do this because it's so much. But when you break it down into little steps, you say, okay, step 1, I have to have this educational requirement to become an astronaut. So I have to go to school and learn these things. Okay, great. Step 2, I have to be physically fit. If I'm not physically fit, they're not going to allow me to go into outer space. Step 3, I have to have a certain type of personality. If I'm a negative person, they're not going to accept me. When they go through the interview process, I'm always like, it can't happen, I can't do it, or I shut down, I'm not ready to go, and I panic or I freak out over certain situations. I got to get over those types of things. I got to learn not to panic. I got to learn to be in control of the situation, stay focused on, achieving whatever it is my goal is at the time, and panic later after I get through the situation, right? So there's all these steps, right? So you got to get an education. You have to be fit. You got to be healthy. You got to have the right mindset. So you put those into steps. You say, okay, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to take this. And as you go through these steps, then you have to go to astronaut training. And so now you have to submit your resume. So you have all these steps. And each step, as you achieve each one of these steps, you get closer and closer to your goal. So it's never that a goal is out of reach. A goal is just many steps away. If you look at things in the grandeur and you say, okay, I want to be a billionaire. Well, how do you become a billionaire? A normal person is going to look at it and be like, that's not possible. I can't become a billionaire. Like, how am I going to do that? I work a 9-to-5 job making $10-15 an hour. Even if I work for the rest of my life, I'm never going to make $1 billion. And they're right. But they're not looking at it the right way. They're not looking at the steps that you would need to do to become a billionaire. Once you start breaking down the numbers and you figure out, okay, how much money do I need to make per year to become a billionaire in 5 years? Okay, how am I going to do that? What do I need to sell? If you sell computers like Bill Gates did, and you sell this many computers at this much profit per computer, or you sell this product or this service, and you say, okay, well, there's 9 billion people in the world. For me to become a billionaire, if I can get 1 billion people to give me $1, I'm a billionaire. That doesn't sound so difficult. But how do I reach 1 billion people to get that $1? So all of these thoughts have to go through your head. You have to figure out, what do you do to become a billionaire? What are the steps? And once you figure out those steps, you can actually start working towards becoming a billionaire if that's what you want to do. But if you look at it as, oh my God, this is just too much, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, you'll never become a billionaire. And that's the problem with most people in this world, is they don't believe they can do the things because they've never seen it done, or in their life they've tried, but they've never really thought about it. They never sat down and said, you know what does it really take to get here from here? What does it really take? What are the steps so I can get all the way up to the top or to reach my goals? People, they would rather do the easy thing, which is to just be lazy, to not try. You don't fail if you try. If you don't try. And so just because I said that, failure isn't failure. Failure is a learning lesson. Every time you try to do something, you learn something from it if you fail. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The more you try, the more times you're going to fail. But as you fail in these efforts, these are things you can look back on and you can say, oh man, this is the reason I failed. But now I know better, and I'm not going to do that again. So I'm not going to fail. So I'm going to keep pushing forward. So if you fail, don't worry about it. That's okay, because you learned something from it. And as long as you're learning, you're growing, and you're never really failing. Failure is when you get knocked down and you don't get back up. That's failure. But if you keep getting back up and you keep moving forward, then you really never truly fail. You may not have achieved something this time, in this timeline or in this frame, in whatever your goal was, but you still have the opportunity to achieve it if you choose to go back and say, hey, you know what, I am going to achieve it. I'm going to go back, I'm going to do this and do it right this time. I'm not going to fail this time. And then maybe you fail again. Maybe you miss something and you learn something new. And you can keep going after it until you get it. Or you can say, you know what, I don't want to put this amount of energy into this. I want to, or something new comes along that makes more sense. And that's another important thing, because you're going to have so many opportunities in your life. So many things are going to pop up in your life. So many things. You're going to have this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity. And if you spread yourself too thin and you go after like 50 different opportunities at once, you're not going to achieve all those opportunities. You may get lucky and achieve one, but when you take and put all your focus into that one thing, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but put all your focus into this one thing, your energy into this one thing to make it happen, you're going to achieve it faster, and you're going to have a higher chance of achieving it. There's nothing wrong with having multiple things on the table. You can do 2 things, 3 things. I'm doing like 20 different companies all at once, and I'll be honest, if I was only doing 5 companies at once, it'd be a lot easier, and I could have progressed them a lot further faster. But because I have 20 different companies, it's taking me a lot more time to progress all of them to the level I could have progressed them if I would have put all my energy into one at a time. But for the same principle of that, since I have partners that are progressing those companies with me, it gives me the ability to progress all those companies at a very fast pace, because I brought other people in that know what they're doing, that know how to do these things, and I'm doing what I'm good at. And by doing what I'm good at and them doing what they're good at, we make a really good team, and we're able to find success quickly. But if you only focus on one thing, you can achieve that thing faster. If you focus on 2 things, you only have so much time in the day, so you only be able to put so much energy into it. So you really want to evaluate all the opportunities and pick the ones that make the most sense. Go after what we like to call low-hanging fruit. So there's the low-hanging fruit, and then there's the really hard-to-get fruit. And if you go after low-hanging fruit, it's easy, and you can start winning and succeeding and making good money quickly. And if you go after the high-hanging fruit, now you got to climb really high, you got to work really hard, it takes longer, and it's harder to achieve it. You're still gonna find success, but the low-hanging fruit is the stuff that's easy for you to get done now. So for example, if you say, hey, I want to start a lawn care business, you go out, you buy the equipment, you build a team, you go out, you start cutting lawns, you're making money now. You got your team's now out cutting lawns. It's a very simple business to get into. It's very easy. It doesn't take a lot of time and energy. Once you've got your guys trained, they go out, they cut the grass, they do the job, and basically you can hire someone to answer the phones, and you've created a company that's generating you money that you don't have to worry about. You have a whole team, they do their job, they take the calls, they do everything. You don't do anything. You just sit there. If they have a problem, you come in, you resolve the problem. Now you've created a low-hanging fruit that's generating you revenue every single month or every single day. Then you can go after the bigger fruit. Now you have an income to sustain you while you're putting all your time and energy into this higher-hanging fruit. Maybe this higher-hanging fruit is going to be more profitable, and so it's going to take a little bit more work, it's going to take more time, so you won't have time to work over here and generate revenue to pay your bills. But because you've created these low-hanging fruits that are now generating revenue and paying your bills, you have the time to work on the higher-hanging fruit. So now while you're working on the higher-hanging fruit, you're making money, you're paying your bills, you're not stressed out, you're not freaking out. And so then you go through the process of the higher-hanging fruit, the bigger company, the bigger thing that takes a lot more time, and you got to build a team, and you got to train people, and maybe it's like a restaurant. We're building a restaurant right now, so going through the process of building a restaurant, we put 7 months into building the restaurant that we're building, and there's a lot involved in it. It's not simple. You got to have the right staff, you got to have the right chef, you got to have the right menu, you got to have so many different things you got to do, and you got to work with the city, and you got to give the city what they want. Otherwise, they won't give you permits, they won't give you, everything you need. So it's a process, and so you always want to go after low-hanging fruit first. If you believe it, you can achieve it. I know this is all over the place, but there's so much information I want to give to you guys, and I'm very limited on time because of all the things that I am working on. So I'm just kind of cramming it all into videos, and when when you guys are with me, I know you're not with me today because we're here, gonna just clean out the restaurant and get the rest of the stuff done because we're getting our sign and we're about to open, and you guys are at school. But when you're with me, I do the same thing. I literally go on to tangents, and Gabe, he tells me, or he told Kristen and told me that every time we have a conversation, it all leads back to the beginning, where everything was created and how the universe works. It's really interesting. But hopefully this video is helpful. Hopefully all this information that I've just kind of blobbed into here, which isn't really structured, is useful information. And hopefully you guys realize that you can achieve anything you want. You have to believe it. You have to take action, like really massive action. Don't take a little bit of action, take a lot of action. But don't work yourself to death. You have to have balance in your life. You have to say, okay, I'm going to put this much energy into achieving my goals. I'm going to put this much energy into relaxing and enjoying life, spending time with family and friends. And in doing so, you're going to have balance, you're going to have rest, you're going to have joy, and then you're going to also achieve your goals. But if you don't focus on putting energy into bettering yourself and achieving your goals, you'll never achieve them. So you want to create something that's a balance. And when you think about, what energy you're putting where, you say, what, am I relaxing too much? Am I getting too much relaxation and not achieving enough? Am I not getting to my goal fast enough? Okay, well, let me add more energy and more time allocated towards achieving my goals and a little less time relaxing and spending time with friends and family and so forth. Or maybe you're putting way too much time into work and you're not getting enough time with friends and family, and you say, what, I'm going to put more time into my friends and family and less time into work. But at the same right, you want to make sure that you are putting enough time in both, that there's a good balance. You don't want to slack off on work to the point where you're not achieving your goals, and you don't want to slack off on relaxation and time for yourself and your friends and your family, because you're going to become miserable. You'll get lonely, and people will stop wanting to be your friend because they'll be like, dude, you got no time for us. You don't make time for us, so we're not going to make time for you, and that's not good. We remember talking about community and talking about building a good community. Well, if you don't have time for your community, you're not going to build a strong community. You may build an empire over here, and you could be like Scrooge McDuck, in DuckTales, and be super wealthy with no friends. But once he realized that he needs to put more time into friends and family and himself and less time into work, what do we see happen? He became happy and full of joy, and he was able to build a strong community. So you guys need to do the same thing. You need to really think about what type of life you want to have. You want to think about what you want to do with your life. You want to think through all of these things. Look at your past. Look at where you're heading. We talked about the people you socialize with. Obviously, if you're hanging out with millionaires, you can become millionaires. If you're hanging out with drug addicts, you're going to end up doing drugs. So pick and choose who you spend your time with. Pick and choose what you listen to. Believe it, and you can achieve it. Yeah, I'm just rambling. So I will let you guys go because I'm here at the restaurant. I got to go inside. We got a lot of work to do. The guys are here. It's 11:30. We're slacking. And hopefully this was helpful, and I'll make some more videos as more things come up. Talk to you later.